Today, as I'm recording and producing and uploading this update video for February 2016, it's already the 7th, so we're a little bit behind, but I think as I go through what's going on in February and what took place in January, you'll see how incredibly busy we've been. As usual, I want to begin by highlighting three big things from the very start. So the first of these is that I have now officially come on board with the Stoicism Today project. I will be taking over the editor position of the blog, and there's a lot more to talk about coming up in the February portion, although actually, officially, I'm beginning in March. The second is that in January, the Half-Hour Hegel project passed a very important milestone as far as getting through this massive text goes. And so I'll talk a little bit about that. It has to do with the reason section. We're going to be doing an awful lot with the Half-Hour Hegel this coming month. But I'll talk about that in the February section. And the third is we're having our second in this entire year's worth of workshops in practical philosophy at the Hudson Business Lounge in downtown Milwaukee coming up this month. It's oriented particularly in terms of Valentine's Day and romantic relationships, but it applies to other relationships as well. So I'd like to put that on your radar. If you're in the area, come on down. It's a free workshop, but I would like you to register ahead of time. I include the link here. So let's talk about the month of January. We had four different events, two of which were connected with the Half-Hour Hegel project. So why don't I begin with those? We did our Half-Hour Hegel Q&A hangouts, one for the general public, one just for Patreon backers. And then towards the very end of the month, I think it was actually on the 31st, we did a Hegel party to celebrate making it past this very important milestone, finishing up with the self-consciousness section of the work. We also had two other events, which I've included the videos for as links in the video description here. One was our very first workshop in practical philosophy, a new series that we started here in Milwaukee for free down at the Hudson Business Lounge, the place where I do quite a bit of my work out of. That was on New Year's resolutions and looking at them from a Stoic perspective, whether one wants to remake them or reconsider them or how to think through resolutions in general. We also kicked off another big series, a monthly series that is hosted by the Brookfield Public Library, Worlds of Speculative Fiction, so that means sci-fi and fantasy, philosophical themes. And we had our first session, which was surprising just how well attended it was. I think we may have to get a bigger round table to hold it if more people show up, where we talked about the general idea of the series and how philosophy enters into science fiction and fantasy and what the boundaries between science fiction and fantasy are. So we had a really great kickoff, and we've got more coming up with that. As far as video work that I did over January, Half-Hour Hegel, we released our 6 videos for the month. That's the rate at which I'm committed to releasing them at this level of support. And we made it through, like I said, the self-consciousness section and began the new, pretty massive, it's the second largest section in the book, called Reason. We released the first video of that. And I'm continuing to release the Epictetus Core Concept videos. There's still some of those left in stock. You can well imagine how many I created for that course that I taught as a free open access course over November and December. I also uploaded videos of the events that we had, the workshop and the beginning of the science fiction, fantasy, philosophical themes series. And I also released you could call it a teaser video for a Curious course that I publicized and released during January. So that's the video work. Let me now talk about other stuff. So there's this Curious course in philosophy of religion. Curious is a platform, an educational platform that allows people to subscribe to it, and then they get the entire world of courses that are available. And it's one that I particularly like because it lets me do more than YouTube does. I can, provide links. It lets me break down the videos into sections and ask, mostly true, false, or multiple choice questions that help people, think about the material that they're going over. I can add links to handouts or upload handouts to it. So it's a pretty cool platform. And I created this first big course for them. I'd done one smaller course as an experiment in the past, but this first big course was philosophy of religion. So it's 16 lessons, a lot of questions, handouts, links, pretty cool stuff. So that is something I've gotten behind quite a bit. The Stoicism Today project, there was a lot of behind-the-scenes work for that in January, and there's going to be even more in February. So I'll talk more about that in the February portion. Started doing some more tutoring and philosophical counseling. The tutoring, actually doing some face-to-face tutoring around here in the Milwaukee area. The philosophical counseling I'm doing remotely. Some of the tutoring is also remotely as well. And I've been building curriculum for Priority Thinking, this firm whose team I've joined in part because I really like what they're doing. They take philosophy and find ways to connect it up with what's going on in organizations, doing consulting, doing management, doing coaching, doing ethics workshops and training. So it's really quite an opportunity for me. And like I said, I've been working on building curriculum for them. I reworked our Reason.io website, added a few more descriptive pages to it about some of the things that we're doing. I tidied up some of our blogs, although not quite so much as I would have liked. I didn't get a lot of writing done in the month of January, whether academic or more popular, but I'm hoping to change that. That's starting to become a little bit of a drumbeat in these update videos, but it's in part because I've been so busy with other matters. All right, so that is January. Now let's talk about this month, February, that we're already 1 week into. So let's just sort of make believe that I'm talking about it as if this was on February 1st. So I'm not going to try to, convince you that an event that has already taken place hasn't taken place. As a matter of fact, I'm including a link to the video here in the description. But that was a talk that I gave at the Frank Weinberg Library in Mequon, Wisconsin. Great audience that showed up for it, especially on a night that we were supposed to be getting hit by a major winter storm. That didn't turn out to be as bad as people predicted. But the talk was on Aristotle, Athens, and Alexander the Great, and it's part of this quarterly series that we're doing that's focused on placing philosophers within their historical context. So I'm picking people where the historical context is particularly interesting, like St. Anselm or René Descartes, or for the 20th century, Hannah Arendt. And so that one's already passed, but stay tuned. We'll do another one in May. Now, coming up, if you're in this area, we're doing the second of the philosophical themes in speculative fiction, and it's focused this time on J.R.R. Tolkien's world of Middle-earth and what's going on with that entire project. So I'm going to talk about The Lord of the Rings, a bit about The Hobbit, also about the Silmarillion, and about this entire cosmos that Tolkien created, and some of the key philosophical ideas that you find working behind the scenes in that. So that's going to happen on the 11th at the Brookfield Public Library. It's a free talk. If you want to come to it, by all means, go ahead. Happens 7 o'clock, by the way, I should say. So the other thing that we've got going on here in town is the second workshop in the Practical Philosophy Ideas into Action, it's called, series of workshops that we're giving for free at the Hudson, where we take some interesting philosophical concept or distinction and then apply it to, pretty common, often day-to-day issues. Now, this one is in honor of Valentine's Day. We're doing it based on the notion of relationships, particularly romantic relationships. And I'm going to be applying Aristotle's theory of friendship, and showing people how looking at things in that way might clarify certain issues or long-standing, worries that they've been having, and sometimes help them make better decisions about relationships going forward. So that's happening on the 17th at the Hudson Business Lounge. Again, 7 o'clock, free workshops. So if you're in the area and you're interested in participating in that, come on down. On the 24th, I'm doing a half-hour Hegel public Q&A Google Hangout beginning at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. That's the time that I'm on here. And so if you've got any questions about Hegel in general, if you've been following the half-hour Hegel videos, you don't have to be a Patreon subscriber to go to that Hangout. That one is for the entire general public, although I do get quite a few of the Patreon supporters who do show up for that. If you have questions, bring them in and just, say, Dr. Sadler, I've got a Hegel-related question, and I'll see how I can tackle it if I can. We've got a lot of events happening in March, and so I'm already starting to prepare for what's going on in March. We've got, the fantasy science fiction thing. We've got the Ideas in Action workshop. We're doing something for Women's History Month on Mary Wollstonecraft, but I'll tell you more about that when we get to the March video. I'm actually flying to Virginia Commonwealth University, where I'll be doing a talk there for the philosophy students. And we've got some other event. It's escaping me right now, but anyway, there's a lot going on in March that I have to prepare for. Videos coming up that you can you can anticipate seeing in February. 6 half-hour Hegel videos I'll be producing over the course of this month, all of which are going to be in this section Reason, which we're now moving into full force. We just barely got into it in January, and now we're moving into it. We're only going to get a little of the ways, of course, into this massive section, which is over 200 paragraphs. So I think we'll probably be in that section well into summer of this year, but we're laying the groundwork for that. I've got quite a few of those Epictetus core concept videos still to bring out. Some people might be getting a little sick of Epictetus at this point, but it's good stuff. So I think a lot of people can get into that. And I'll, of course, have event videos for the talks that I'm giving. I've already posted one of them for the Aristotle, Athens, and Alexander the Great. I'll be posting the one on speculative fiction, that is Tolkien, and the one from the workshop, shortly after I've got them uploaded, and takes a little while sometimes to turn them around when you're as busy as I am. So, what else is on the horizon? Like I mentioned before, I have been invited to join the Stoicism Today project, and I will be taking over the editing position for the blog Stoicism Today. I'm very honored. It sounds like a lot of work, but there's actually quite a few other people contributing to it, so I'm very happy about the level of support that I'll be getting. At least in terms of, getting other sets of eyes on things, some of the scheduling issues, all these things that go into it. So that's something I'm really looking forward to. I'll be doing some writing from time to time for the Stoicism Today blog. and you can anticipate an entry about the transition. Patrick Usher is the current editor, and he's leaving after having essentially built the blog up and done really great work with it for a long time. So I'm really happy to be stepping into some well prepared shoes. The Half Hour Hegel project, I'm going to be doing quite a bit of what we could talk about as awareness work. I'm going to be sending out emails to colleagues and saying this is a valuable resource for your students, or if you ever wanted to get a little bit more into Hegel, here's a valuable resource. I'm going to be talking to people who do digital humanities and online learning and saying, look, here's a pretty cool project. At this point, sort of one of a kind. Do you want to back it up a little bit? Do you want to publicize it? Do you want to tell other people about it? So, if you're interested in the Half Hour Hegel project, share it with other people. There's the Patreon page, which I include a link to. There's the blog, which I also include a link to. I'm going to keep on working on those videos. And let's see, I'm doing a lot of work with priority thinking this month. A lot of it focused specifically on anger, one of my areas of research, and how it fits into the organizational and leadership setting. There's a lot to be said about that. As a matter of fact, enough that I may down the line write a book specifically on that. Doing a lot of building contacts here in the Milwaukee area. I just went to a great talk over at Marquette University, which was about Aquinas and Alexander of Aphrodisias, and got to meet some of the faculty from there, and we're going to be doing quite a lot of that sort of stuff around here, not just in terms of academics, but also business organizations and other places that might be interested in connecting up with us, ranging from radio stations to churches to other types of organizations. Still doing, or at least I'm anticipating doing a lot of tutoring this month, particularly since it's midterm month for some people. Got some philosophical counseling clients. I've been very happy with how that's been going, even though we haven't done any advertising as of this point. If you're interested in those sorts of services, you can look at the Reason IO website that discusses them in great detail. One of the things I really want to do this month is get more writing done. And even though it's a short month, I'm hoping that will be something that I get to, in part because, in a way, I'm sort of like on sabbatical. And so there's a little bit of other news that I should probably talk about. The biggest thing is that I have resigned from the Global Center for Advanced Studies, both in my role as a professor and as the director of the Institute of Humanities and Social Sciences. So that frees up a bit of time. I'm not teaching any online courses for Marist or Aplerno this spring semester. So effectively, from a teaching perspective, at least up until a certain point, it's sort of like being on sabbatical, although, as you can tell, I keep pretty busy here. I'm not just, getting up and looking out the window and thinking about what I might write today. The last thing that I do want to talk about, sort of piggybacking on that, is that we are looking at providing courses through Reason.io. Not for credit, but courses that would be for personal enrichment that people would take, because they want to know something more about, say, Plato or Aristotle or Jacques Lacan. It's going to offer us a great, you might say, flexibility. And if there's sufficient interest in taking courses with me, it should be something that I can continue to do quite often. So we're shooting, our goal right now is to have a course ready to offer by April 1st. It's going to take a lot of work. I'm not even quite sure which course I want to teach. and design and build, because those of you who have taken courses with me, you know that when you take a course with me, you get a lot of material. I shoot videos specifically for the course. I produce handouts. I produce entire lesson pages. Very interactive. So I haven't quite figured out exactly what course I'm interested in doing that amount of work for yet. But I just wanted to put it out there and put it on people's radar that I'll be doing something along those lines. And yeah, a lot of very exciting stuff happening this month, a lot of exciting stuff on the horizon. I hope all of you have a good remaining 3 weeks of the month of February, and you'll see me next time in March, probably doing this a little bit earlier.